Kind of. Okay, good. Hey, not bad. My first show in my yard. All right, I'll edit this. I wonder what the sounds like. I think we should put this over here.
We put it on the, we could put that other bench right in front of us.
Yes, sure.
That'll get it up another.
Yeah, just all we need to do is put it like right about there.
That works.
All right. We're good.
That should be good.
Here we go. 3, 2. Hey, everybody. Jay Weidner here. Reality check. This is my first show from. Oh, is this my backyard? I don't know what this is. Anyway, my yard. That's the Sangre de Cristo Mountains. There, one of the 3 ranges we have in Colorado. We have the Rockies. We have the San Juans, and we have the Sangre de Cristos. This is the San Luis Valley. We are surrounded that way by the San Juan Mountains, this way by the Sangre de Cristo, the largest, highest valley in North America, actually. And we're here with my good buddy, Ken Swartz. How you doing, Ken?
Oh, glad to be here.
Yeah, it's a beautiful day.
I went up on the high road and checked out the stupa at the end of it.
Oh, isn't that beautiful?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I take that walk all the time. Yeah, it's a great walk. People drive too fast on that road though. Yeah, so yeah, there's also like Buddhist stupas all around here. Some rich people donated a bunch of land and created a bunch of communities here. Ken's best known for, of course, his C60 and also his philosophy. And so tell us, I was looking up and I take C60 every day, and I was reading about it. And I realized that it was also super conductive.
Yeah, depending on what it is. And it's also because it can be an electron donor or an electron acceptor, depending on what you mix it with. And so like pretty much all the organic solar cells use C60 as in one of those things, one of those applications. And it can also be somewhat conductive, but really something like graphene is way more conductive than C60 because C60 is perfectly round and smooth, and so
it doesn't.
Yeah, you can do that if you put a bunch together, but there's other ways better for that. But as far as like it's used in electronics in a lot of places, right. And it does other things and weird transistor type ththings. It has like 100 million quantum states in each C60 atom or molecule, in each C60 molecule, which is really huge. Which might have something to do with its unusual properties.
What do you mean by that? 100? Say that again.
100 million quantum states, because each quantum is like you could have, because there's 60 different atoms and they're shaped in a spherical ball, and then you can, if you take, so each one of those times 60, and then they have all the electrons around them, and electrons can be spin left or right or up or down, kind of. And so that,
I see.
Then when you add this times this times this times this times this, it comes out to 100 million.
Was the C60 discovered after Bucky created the Buckyball?
No, but Buckminster Fuller actually predicted its existence and said it would have great medical benefits long before it was discovered. Now, how exactly did he do that? I don't know, but that's why they named it after him. But it's because technically a C60 is a Buckminster Fuller.
It's a perfectly round 60 atom molecule.
Well, it looks exactly like a little soccer ball. So, which I'm surprised why haven't people adopted it.
You think the shape has anything to do with its medicinal qualities?
I think it is. It's a truncated isohedron. And so whatever it is, that's what, and it's perfectly, all the active chemical sites on it, they're very isolated and they're all exactly at the same energy. And that gives it its amazing antioxidant abilities.
Right. Very interesting. That Bucky would have predicted that.
Oh yeah, it's just, they discovered in 1985. It actually solved a long-standing mystery in astronomy. There's something called DIBS, diffuse interstellar bands, and there was something in the infrared absorbing between the stars. And it was so big, it had to be a molecule, but they couldn't figure out what the hell it was. But there was a guy named Harry Kroto, and I think he knew what it was. And then the whole thing to figure it out. And then Robert Small and Richard Small and Robert Curl helped him do that. And basically it was really amazing. First, they made something they thought was C60, and they zapped a graphite rod with a laser, and then they did measurement of what came off, and they found the stuff that had a 720 atomic weights, which is what you get with the Buckminster fullerene. And then they had to actually prove that thing was what was absorbing in the star. So they had to get this chamber. We have a visitor. We had to get a chamber that was almost absolute zero, and they grew neon frost in it. And then they dribbled down the C60 ball so they would sit on top of the neon frost. Then they hit it with that infrared frequency. The C60 absorbed in that band, and that's how they proved the existence of it. It was with the dibs but they got a chemistry in 1996 and Nobel Prize in chemistry. But there was actually 5 guys that started it. I can't remember the other 2 guys' names at the moment, but they died out. And all the other guys, they're all like professor emerituses, really old guys that did all the research. And so, 2 of them were already gone, and one was going to, and they figured they better give them a Nobel Prize before they're all gone.
And this all took place in the 60s?
Yeah, there was it was 85, it was discovered in 85, sit.
Sorry about that. This is
This is,
Aurora.
Yes.
She's only 7 months old.
yeah, she's a
and
very nice dog,
she's a very nice dog, but
very friendly,
she needs
a little bit,
a
yes.
little
But
bit of work.
so, yeah, and then they got the Nobel Prize in 1996. And Harry Croto actually wrote a book, a really good book. And said you can get, you're going to be a star. Off.
Thank
This
you.
way, let's run.
Come here. Come over here. She
This way.
likes you because you're novel.
Yes, a novel.
Yeah.
Like
I'm
most people
I-
like novel things.
Yeah, I'm old hat to her, for new things.
There, you can just stay right there.
So what's the future of all this? Where's it going? You guys doing any further? I'm sorry.
Oh, yes, actually, we have a new product. It's our C60 gummies.
Yeah.
And there, sit. Yeah,
Sit.
we might have to sit. Oh, she doesn't listen. Not to me. You're like these teenagers.
I'm really sorry about this.
We'll have to.
I'm gonna put her in her room.
She's real friendly.
Come on.
Oh. Yeah, she doesn't want to go in there. Yep. Yeah, well, she wanted to be a star.
Yep.
And yeah,
So
so
what's this?
this is our new C60 gummies. There's a daily dose of C60 in it. And you best take it in the morning, obviously, but the problem is, you've tried them.
I don't think so.
Oh, here, take what's wrong with the gummies.
Oh, thank
I'll
you.
have one. Yeah, it's a tart cherry. And they taste pretty good, only 3 grams of sugar. We had to make them taste good. The only problem with these, you only need one of these a day for your C60 needs, but they taste so good, it's hard to eat just one. So,
So, could you take too much?
well, if you take too much, you get the zoomies. They did a test for this. Usually concentrations of 0.1 kilogram or 0.1 milligrams per kilogram around there is like a healthy beneficial dose. And they've done all these positive studies like radiation neutralization, double lifespan of test animals, prevented cognitive decline, got rid of arthritis, regrew the cartilage, right? So finally they decided we better test to see where does it become toxic. And they took it up to 1 gram per kilogram of body weight. And if you did that with like vitamin E or vitamin C, you might kill the critter. But even at that extreme level, there was no toxicity, because C60 is like a SOD, superoxide dismutase mimic, catalase mimic. It does the job of both getting rid of superoxide, the most damaging oxidative radical of the body, but it doesn't interfere with any of the body's signaling molecules like vitamin D or vitamin C do. And so it's actually the only antioxidant supplement you can take which increases athletic performance.
And so is this known in the athletic communities?
It is. We have people that were mid-pack and now champions, but so I'm not saying any names, but we've contacted like all the sports organizations, and they haven't made a ruling because it doesn't fit in any category. I mean, it's not a medicine, it's not a mineral, it's not a vitamin, a supplement. It's just an allotrope of carbon. It's like 60 carbon atoms. So since it doesn't fit in a known box, they just kind of ignore it, I guess.
But athletes are always looking for an edge.
Oh yeah, it'll give you an edge. Like especially if your neighborhood gym, you got those guys, take C60, you'll be able to do more reps, lift more weights, or run faster. It gives you that extra edge because it slows being an antioxidant. Of course, it increases your mitochondria efficiency, especially if you're older. It's really for the gray haired crowd out there. And so you'll be able to have more energy to run faster and longer, but it also reduces lactic acid buildup. So with those two
So
benefits,
not hurting after you
you know,
exercise.
and yeah, and the DOMS, delayed onset muscle soreness,
Yeah,
that's way less with C60. It doesn't go away. It's just a lot less.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
and the other thing is it's also a kind of a hangover recovery. You take a little C60 before you drink, a little bit afterwards. You know, it's a moral hazard, but you won't have a hangover the next day.
So is there like any evidence that people in the past knew about this?
It's not sure, you know, they always, you know, there was this mystical substance that was black,
Mhm.
and C60, about 0.25% of like candle wicks are C60. So I mean, C60 was out there, and you know, it's quite possible somehow, and you know, maybe with a little help from our friends from elsewhere, you could conceivably, you know, you could do enough candle wicks or other processes, and you could probably make C60 in the past if you knew what you were doing and refine it too.
It is interesting though how in the alchemical lore they're constantly, putting in the same geometry in their books, and they all say that the substance will give you longer lifespan. It's black.
Yeah,
Um,
there's something, you know, they quite might have known. And another thing, we have like psychics and remote viewers and dowsers and other people that do that kind of stuff. And they all say it like improves their skills. Like it gets rid of the the static, right? So
the
they can like
fog.
yeah, the brain fog. So they can tune in on whatever they're doing.
That's interesting. Maybe you should try do some see if it increases psychic ability.
Well, we did have that. We had a doctor that he was taking like 2 ounces a day, and he swore his he became psychic. He'd say things like, "Well, when my wife came in the room, he I knew what she was going to say before she said it, and you know whatever that and and whatever, you know." But you know, I was saying that to some women once, and they just said that he was just responding well to training. So
Very true. Very true. Now I've had that experience, so I know it actually happens. I was in my car one day and had the news on, and it was when Obama was president, and he was about to say a statement about something that was big at the time, and and my wife heard me. I mouthed the entire statement, and then he said it, and I was like, "What the?" And I had it word for word, and it was an unusual sentence too. It wasn't
yes,
like a cliche, right? And so there's like a glitch in the matrix or something.
well, that happens all the time, actually.
Well, it's an electrical world, really, in reality, and when you understand what that really means, then you can understand how uh, it's not linear.
No, it isn't. Like they had that one where they're doing, it was a study when they're like having lights and flashes, and the people's brains were responding to the event before it occurred,
Yep.
which is what? You know, that's like, how is that possible? But they redid it, and it always was that way. So somehow the brain knew what was going to happen before it happened.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff like that. They did an experiment like 20 years ago or so. What they did is they found like 30 people that told the people that were doing the experiment they felt like they were lucky people. And then they found 30 people who told them that thought they were unlucky in life, right? So they got the two groups, and what they did was they went to each group and each person, and they gave them a magazine and said, thumb through this magazine for a half hour, and then if you find anything or see anything that interests you or you find unusual, tell me. All right. So it will go, and it was almost exactly the 30 people that thought they were lucky, because what they did was they buried a $5 bill somewhere in the magazine. And the 30 people that were lucky found the $5 bill, and the 30 people that were unlucky never saw it.
Yeah, how do you explain that?
Uh,
Yeah, it doesn't fit in a box.
no, and that is very good. Your gummy.
Yeah, but the
Very
problem
good.
is it's hard to eat just one.
Yeah, it is. I feel like eating another one, but I want it. So yeah, there's this like, again, what is it? Well, really, the lucky people are just more perceptive, you could say.
Well, they're open to being perceptive.
Yeah. And what does that mean? That means that they're looking around more, they're
Mhm.
paying attention to things more.
So the narrative that's going on up here every day in your head determines, you know, where you're going to be. So, you know, make sure you got a good narrative playing in your head so you have a good
Absolutely.
outcome in your life.
Absolutely. There's this movie, pretty interesting, a little film called Don Juan Del Marco, I think it was, with Johnny Depp. and he's a mental patient in a mental institution, and Marlon Brando is his psychiatrist,
Uh-oh.
right? And it's a little film not many people have seen, but it's a good film. And what Johnny Depp was doing in the film was he would go in to see every day to see the psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist would, well, how are things going? You know, in the war, he goes, I just want to thank you for inviting me to your estate, right? In his mind, he was not in a psycho ward. He was in a beautiful villa in Spain, right? And he was like the guy that owned the villa, and so he was able to groove through the whole, you know, grueling experience of being in a psycho ward by just creating this fantasy. But is it a fantasy? Where does fantasy, you know, rub into reality? And so you got to kind of wake up every day and know that you're going to accomplish something, and then that changes the way that you face life. You get a rush from it. So I try to accomplish something like within the first 2 hours of my day, something that is hard, something that's difficult, and then I get a kind of a rush out of it, and you know, and it really makes my day better. It's good. You know, we can't really talk about it, but a lot of people are getting sick, and a lot of people are dying recently. You know, what do you think
Yes.
that's about? I know it's not about. They're not dying of COVID.
Yeah, yeah, there's definitely, it's just this mysterious sudden adult death syndrome and all of these other things that are happening. And, you know, I think the people that are, some people are aware of what's going on, and but it's going to catch up to everyone will eventually realize what's happening. And then there's going to be real consequences that are going to really transform the world, I think.
Well, I mean, you know, it's just kind of just being whispered about now that insurance companies are having a hard time making their life insurance payments.
Oh yeah, there's one I think had like a 40% increase in payouts. I saw another one was like 87%. And but the problem, and they're having like 6 sigma events of deaths over what you expect.
Yeah.
So it's, I think it's like a 2 sigma is a once every 400-year event. So what is a 6 sigma? I don't know.
Take your C60. That's
Yes.
what it means. And take it
Yeah.
every day.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's, yeah. So there's a, yeah, there's consequences. But then, you know, and I'm talking about people wanting their goals. Remember the WEFers.
Yep.
They have their little goals
The
going
mother
on.
weffers.
Yeah, the mother weffers. Yes. They have a whole set of goals that
They do. And
you will eat bugs and you will like it.
yeah, don't reptiles eat bugs?
I do think reptiles eat, yes,
Yes.
reptiles are commonly eating bugs, especially the small little reptile types. They like to eat bugs.
Well, speaking of WEF, about 2 weeks ago, I was on a show, Raised by Giants, with Ryder Lee, and he got me talking about the secret space program. And I told him that in that conversation, I said that I thought the secret space program was real. I'd seen enough evidence to think it was real. And I thought that I said in the program, this is about 10 days ago, I'd say, that I thought the secret space program's location was in Antarctica, so mainly to avoid the Van Allen belts and to be secret. And it was probably underground, so you would never see it. You flew over it, and just the door would open and be all white, so you would never see it. And they're probably using the anti-gravitic stuff, you know, the flying saucers. And I said that probably building a giant ark over Antarctica, an escape ark, I said.
Well, didn't the Nazis do that?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And they're the ones that got there first. And then Noah Harari, 2 days ago, who is the top, was I guess the guru to Klaus Schwab, the guy that thinks that humans are useless and they need to be gotten rid of, but that's aside. He made this astonishing statement that I still haven't gotten over. He said that the elite don't make decisions that are good for us. They make decisions that are good for them. And I'm paraphrasing. I don't want to get in trouble, but I'm paraphrasing. And then he said something astonishing. He said, they are going to build arks, which they will escape, and then you will drown in the ensuing flood. And
Sounds like Noah.
and his name is Noah.
Oh, well, what a coincidence.
Yeah, it's Noah's Ark. And I really have to wonder. I know that what I said was based on things that people in the secret space program have told me, but I was surprised that he would say that in public. But then I realized that these guys have like some kind of weird thing where they have to tell you.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's things. Yeah, they got to tell you what they're going to do, like
Yeah,
a really bad, like one of those bad horror movies, right?
yeah,
This is what I'm going to do to you, and of course, then
yeah,
the people that are going to get taken over, anyway, we've seen those, Superman films and every
yeah.
other film
Like
does that.
the album CD covers before 9/11 with
Yeah.
the
Oh yeah.
pressing the remote and the buildings blowing up, and then there was the lone gunman
Yep.
episode where they were gonna take a plane into the World Trade Center, and so they have to tell you. And so I guess that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
What's interesting about that is that there are Vedic texts go back 3 to 4,000 years. And in these texts, they say that in the last catastrophe, before Vishnu destroyed the world with fire, that the kings and not the kings, the monarchs built arks. They say arks specifically, giant arks, and they went to a planet called Mahar, Mahar, right? And they stayed there and waited the storm out, and then they came back with all of their genetic material and restarted life on Earth. Harari says the same thing. He says that they're taking the genetic information. Bill Gates has uh, a seed thing up in Norway. All right, so the elites have gone out and collected all the seeds of everything on Earth.
Yep.
We know the Genome Project,
Oh yeah, it's because they've been measuring, what are the genes that make up just about anything.
and then they did the swabs, and then they have these DNA places that you can go to learn your lineage, right? They're all taking the DNA. So what is all that
I don't
going on?
know. I guess they're looking for the ones they want to keep and the ones they don't want to keep.
Yeah, that's
I
what it
went to
looks
one of
like.
those places. I found I was 17% Irish. Explain my.
You didn't know that?
No, I do like a drinker now or two now and
But
then.
only 17% of the time though.
Yes, yes.
They actually did those things on identical twins, and they came back. One was Norwegian, the other one was German, and so I don't know how
Yeah,
good they
yeah,
are.
yeah. I'd sent them to all the different DNA companies, and I got different results
Yeah.
from each one.
When we did the mummy, the one mummy we found in Peru when I was working at Gaia, we spent a lot of money doing DNA on that thing, and uh, I, I think all the companies all disagreed with each other. And we spent a lot of money. It wasn't cheap at all. It was like 6 figures to do
Oh
this.
wow, yeah,
Yeah.
and you've done a lot of things. Then.
Yeah,
Yes.
and so it's not as exacting, which makes me think that the CRISPR technology is not going to be as exacting as they're making it out to be.
Well, they've had some bad effects on test animals with CRISPR.
Have they?
Oh yeah, because it just because you have all these, there's I don't know how many base pairs, but there's a
Yeah,
lot, right?
yeah.
And just sometimes by chance, whatever you're trying to cut out here,
Right.
in some of the quote junk DNA, you might have that same sequence that gets cut out there. But junk DNA isn't junk DNA. We
Right.
know it's actually kind of like the behind the scenes software that
Yeah,
runs
right.
how the genes are expressed.
Right.
And so if you have the upfront stuff,
Great way to put it.
the upfront programs, and then the running, the running software. And if you damage that, then genes don't get expressed the way they are. And yeah, they had unfortunate side effects.
Well, that's kind of good to know. I'm glad.
But they did CRISPR a couple of Chinese girl babies. Remember that one?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they had some disease and he
Yeah.
got rid of it. But I guess we're going to find out, the hard way. They have been doing that a lot. These testing where they test out new technologies on people, but without like proper animal testing beforehand.
Yeah, and then, sometimes they'll release stuff for mass use and then admit months later that they'd actually never tested it.
Yeah, exactly. So, you just don't know. You wonder about science, but that's part of the problem is people, science used to be science, but now it's kind of become a state religion.
Yeah.
And I mean, and I think it really happened. It's like the thing, journals have always been, quote, had peer review, but usually the editor knew a bunch of guys, right? It was only after the atomic bomb in 1945 that, quote, peer review came through. And peer review essentially means government funded scientists, whether, because they're
right.
academics at the university, or maybe they work for some other, think tank foundation, that's that private-public partnership.
Yeah.
And so because, before the atomic bomb, maybe the guy in the white collar was sort of like the religious authority, but after the atomic bomb, well, the new guy was in the white coat and unreleased and it's scientism, I guess. And like, believe the science. Science is not about belief. It's about a debate. It's about evidence. It's
Cannot
about,
have a
it's the
consensus.
scientific method.
There's no consensus in
there's not
science.
democracy and
It's
science
not a
don't go together.
democracy.
Yes.
That's why it's called the theory of evolution.
Yes.
Because it hasn't been proven yet.
Yes. And actually, no, everything gets, we have, it's like the Democritus, I think. He had the idea of atoms and he thought they were like little balls with hooks on them and then they hook together.
Yeah.
And now we have the atomic elements. And I mean, we're heading in the right direction, but we're nowhere near the end of our understanding and not even close.
No, not even close. And so they're building a world, a technocratic world. It's pretty obvious now where they're heading with everything. So, it's going to be a world where everything is quantified and everything's managed. And your calorie intake, how much gas you use, your thermostat.
All through that digital central bank currency.
Oh, that's coming. So is there a way that I'm sure you've pondered this, is there a way for around this?
Well, I think what's going to happen is we're going to see a bifurcation of human society.
Yeah.
Like right here in Crestone, there's almost like independent communities. They have farm share and they could easily create their own local currency.
That's right.
Which would be labor hours and so I think that's what's going to happen. You're going to probably have the large city centers and other things will go down that techno slavery path, and then smaller people will just break through or move out of the city and create their own intentional communities. And I just think that's going to happen. But guys like Harari, he talked about all these useless humans and how they needed to get rid of them. And then he started kind of giving us hints about how that was going to happen.
Yeah.
So, people will have to make a choice if they're like one of those expendable, useless eaters. You can like hang out in the city and get the inevitable, or you can like get out and go to find your intentional community where you and your children might, have a future to continue.
I think that's really good advice. That's what that is going on here. That's going on all across the United States right now. The supply chain shortages are really putting the pedal to the metal on that because everybody's freaking out. My truck has been in the shop for 2 weeks because I can't get the part to fix it. And, and that really affects my life because I'm running a community here and I need my truck.
3D printing.
Yeah.
I think 3D printing, because you could, with really good 3D printers, they have it in the US military. They had 2 big storage containers and they drop them off like Afghanistan or something. And they could print 95% of all the military parts could be 3D printed for any of the vehicles, even airplanes and stuff like that. Obviously electronics couldn't, but it had one was where the people lived that did the printing. The other one was doing the printing. And so instead of flying parts back, they could just manufacture them on site with 3D printing. So that technology is available. And like, if you could get hold of one of those used military containers, and they're always happy to sell it to you for the right price, you could just plop that down and you'll be able to like supply all, like a town like this. You could supply probably almost all the auto parts, repairs for the washing machines and dryers and the ovens. And
it's going to be super important.
Yes. And if
every intentional community needs to have a 3D printer.
And some young guy
knows how to operate it.
We're a little too old.
I can't figure it out.
So those young guys that know the 3D printing, they're going to have a future.
Yeah. And I think it's going to be the age of the specialist, I think, is going to go away now. I think it was a good run for them, but I think it's really going to be the age of the generalists now. The people that know how to do a lot of different things are going to be very useful, and the guy that just knows one thing, well, if it's something useful like being an auto mechanic,
that's one thing. Yeah, but that's
but
and the ability to repair things.
Yeah,
that's going to be, because there's going to be, I mean, right now I won't tell the companies, but they're going around because of chip shortages, and they're basically stripping chips out of old machines that are sitting, waiting repair, ones that are in the warehouse before disposal, other just lines that aren't productive. They're actually going there, sending their top guys to strip out, the electronics, which has the chips, and taking them to keep their main machines going, because they just can't get a hold of that stuff.
Well, that's going to be, and then most of those chips are made in Taiwan.
Yeah,
they're under all sorts of pressure.
Yes, and
although I've been assured by my insiders that they're never going to invade.
Yep. Well,
Ukraine kind of taught China and Russia that it's not as easy as you think
Yes.
it is, you know, and it isn't. Shocking actually to see what's going on with Russia. I thought they were like this major military power, and
But it's really just Russia versus NATO, because all the officers running the operation in Ukraine are all the targeting, all the even a
all
lot
the
of the
weapons.
logistics, the weapons. I mean, they've been training them for, I don't know, 8, 10 years in that their weapons and the NATO systems, and so it's all so really Russia is fighting NATO in Ukraine.
And we
it's
have some serious weapons
Yes.
that Russia does not have and can never have because of our high technology. So, I mean, we have weapons that are absolutely scary.
Yeah, but if they push those out, the buttons will be pushed, and well,
Yeah.
living in a crust would be a really good place to be if that happened.
You know, that wall blocks me from the Denver radiation because I saw a chart and Denver was one of the highest
Yeah.
hits that they're going to do.
Oh, yeah. I mean, under like I kind of live nearby the Green Mountain. They actually have, there's a military base on Green Mountain. And then under the federal center, there's like, the 4 cities in the world. They got the Vatican, it's its own city state. They got the city of London.
Yeah.
They got Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
And then they have the federal center in Lakewood, Colorado. It's only a quarter-mile square, but underneath that federal center, in fact, under the whole Denver Metroplex is just a Warren's nest of underground facilities.
That's right. That's exactly.
And it's actually, Denver is actually the real capital, the operational capital of the United States.
Well, it's going to be the capital of the what do they call it? The Canada, the United States.
Oh yeah, whatever that was, NAFTA or whatever
they're doing it. Biden.
Well, I don't want it to be. I don't want them to move there.
Well,
They have to move out.
No, the problem is that here's the problem. They can't do any of this. Okay, they can't come in, and the federal government cannot come in to a state and tell the state what to do. Okay, they cannot do it, and they know they can't do it, and the Constitution says that they can't do it. They actually have very little power.
If the governor, but Dominion voting software started here in Colorado.
Yes, it did.
And that's also mail-in voting started here in Colorado.
Colorado was red.
And then all of a sudden when that started, it turned blue, and it stayed blue since.
It has stayed blue.
And so,
we cannot break the blue factor in the state.
It's like Stalin said, it doesn't matter who votes, it matters who counts the votes.
Or as Jordan Maxwell once said, it's not the election, it's the selection.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I miss him.
Yeah, I do too. He's a good guy. It's been a while now, 9 months or so. Yeah. So I think you're right about this alternative community. And I encourage my fans and the people that watch the show to do that. Find your tribe, find them as fast as you can. The one thing that you should be using the internet for is to find like-minded people in your area that can help each other.
Oh, and your local Amish farmer or Mennonite farmer.
We have them here.
Yes, and they are just amazing growers of food. And so if you're in an East Coast city or some in the Midwest,
Pennsylvania.
Yeah, they have like farm share things with your local, and rent a cow or get a piece of a cow so you get the raw milk. So yeah, go out and get a farm share with like a Mennonite or Amish farmer, because their stuff's always organic.
Yeah,
they're excellent. They make excellent food.
They are. The Amish are great people, and we have an Amish store just here in Monte Vista that sells incredible, like bags of beans, and incredible. But yeah, get out and learn how to grow your own food. I grew probably about $10,000 worth of food this year in my greenhouse and garden for probably less than $100. I already had the homemade fertilizer, just paid for the seeds, hired a little bit of labor to help me. And you can do it too. You can build a hoop greenhouse for under $150, a big one. That's where you take PVC and you bend it and you clip plastic over the top of it. Put it in the south side of your yard, and you can grow food all the way up until like Christmas time, depending on where you live. So there's ways out of all this. And I don't want to get like we're all going to die kind of thing going.
Oh no, because it's a choice. It's just like we talked earlier in the beginning about kind of the mental attitude that you have.
Yep.
If you have if you're not just gonna survive, you're gonna prosper.
Yeah.
And enjoy your life while it's happening, and then that can happen.
Yep.
Because if you do the doom and gloom, well, then you can have the doom and gloom. Or if you wanted the prosperity and a good life in the future, then you can have that. It's really up here that the decision is made. And if, because they are few and we are many, as old David Icke says, and really they could be overthrown tomorrow if the masses of people said no. But, they watch television, so they don't say
I don't
anything.
know. I seem to be seeing a lot more people saying no, that's for sure,
Yes.
than there used to be. The other thing about growing your own food and all that is you actually, one of the better parts of it, besides the good food, is that you become an inspiration to your neighbors and your friends, and then they all start doing it. Then pretty soon, everybody starts doing it because they see the benefits of it. So what I do is I give it away, give a lot of it away, and then people eat it and they go, oh my God, that tastes so much better than the crap in the store. And then they're more inspired to go do it. And that's what we're going to have to do in the future is we're all going to have to like really start sharing things. And
Yeah, and there's things even like in apartments, you can grow spirulina.
yep.
You can get spirulina and grow it in your apartment, and it's like one of the healthiest, most nutrient dense foods
Yep.
that you can get. I mean, it won't cover your whole diet, but it can definitely give a really good nutritional profile for like if you just got like raw carbs, like polished rice or something, or potatoes.
Yeah, you want to avoid that.
Yeah, but if you've got nothing else, but something like spirulina and other, and also there's all kinds of foods you can forage.
There is,
and people don't know it, but you can go online and there's people, they can just walk down you just look at weeds to you, but they're actually like, there's a garden in your backyard that you don't even know about.
Yeah, I think what we should also be doing is planting fruit trees everywhere,
Mhm.
and then there'll be more and more food. And so it's just really a question of attitude. It has nothing to do with what the WEF is telling us and all that. As far as people that are useless, well, everybody should find a purpose.
Mhm.
That's the real point of life. And if you don't have a purpose and you keep trying until you got something that gives your life purpose, and don't stop trying. That's the real thing. I'm living proof that you will succeed if you keep trying. Anyway, Ken, it's been good talking to you. Let's see your product again. I want
Oh
everybody
yeah,
to
this
see it.
is the C60 Purple Power gummies, tart cherry flavor. Your whole C60 needs
Really
in
good.
one gummy.
And just a little bit of sugar.
Yeah, just about 3 grams, which just enough to make it really
I'm not going to
delicious.
take another one now.
Okay.
I'll do it in the morning. All right. So I'm Jay Weidner. You've been watching my first show outside, Reality Check. And I really appreciate you guys watching. I really, really do. And thank you for getting me up over 27,000 subscribers. I'm heading for 30 now. YouTube seems okay with me now, even though it did strike me. And I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. I heard a weird noise.
I heard a bing.
Yeah, that was.
Maybe somebody texted you or something.
No.
Hopefully it's fine.